What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, September 25th, 2018. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the busiest lady in the business, Andrea Renee.
What's good, Greg?
Us being back together.
It's been so long.
I don't know if we've ever been.
Before PAX, I think.
Right, yeah, PAX the last time we saw him. He's hosting the show for sure before then, yeah. Luckily, we've just done nothing since then. It's been boring times around here.
We've just been sitting at home playing video games.
Oh, yeah, if only. Yeah. Where all have you been, Andrea Renee?
Well, I was in Denmark. I went to go visit Copenhagen.
Oi, governor.
And then I went to Tokyo, Japan, and I went to my very first TGS.
Ooh, what did you think?
It was different.
Yeah.
It was fun. Clearly, there's a lot of games there that I don't know anything about.
Sure.
There was a lot of very beautiful women dressed in very weird costumes.
Sure.
But it was fun. It was cool. I got to play some really awesome things. I got to play a brand new demo of Devil May Cry 5, which was awesome. I got to play this crazy VR photon bike thing.
Oh,
which
yeah,
you
what
guys
was
might
that? I
have seen
saw
on
that
my
on your Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this VR company that's making arcade VR experiences. So that thing that you saw, that kind of like Tron bike that I was riding, it's going to be something that you would play inside of an arcade.
Sure.
And I asked them, I was like, so how much would this be to buy?
Yeah,
if I wanted to buy it. He's like, oh, we haven't, settled on a final MSRP, but we're thinking it's going to be between 2 and 4 million yen.
Jeez.
And I was like, so that's around $20,000 to $40,000. And I was like, that's a lot of money.
Sure. But if you're the only Dave and Buster's with it.
I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So lots of fun stuff, kind of like that I got to see and experience at
More
TGS.
importantly, how was the ramen?
I had so much ramen. I think I ate ramen every day I was there.
That's the way to do it.
I had the tonkatsu ramen.
Yeah.
I had spicy sesame. I had, what's the other really popular type of broth? But
Miso?
I didn't have any miso,
Soy?
actually. But I had lots of different types. Oh, tauntaun, I think.
Okay.
But it was good. Delicious.
Okay.
Excellent.
And then the biggest question is, did Britt and Steimer burn everything down for what's good?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Because actually, Steimer and I had to pre-record a show because Britt was also out of the country. She just got back.
Yeah, she was in Greece, right?
She was on a cruise, so she was in a
She's
bunch
all
of
over the
different
place.
countries.
Gotcha.
But yeah, she posted a photo in the Coliseum in her What's Good shirt.
I was like, she's getting really ready for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Yeah. She is like so dedicated to making sure the game's
Super
accurate.
hype.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for that game too.
I can't wait.
I just started playing, so.
Okay, are we allowed to say that? Yeah. I
don't know.
Tomorrow we're allowed to say stuff, not
Yeah.
review it. Tomorrow we can say things about impressions of it.
It's weird because like the streaming embargo
Right.
lifts tomorrow,
Weird.
and I'm like, but there's
And they're like, please don't spoil anything. I'm like, if I'm playing the game, how do I know it's about to spoil
how do you
something?
stream it without showing all the things in that restricted guide? I don't know. You guys, if we could show you some of these documents that we get when we get advanced code for video games, it's confusing. And that's why a lot of times we just don't even bother streaming because the restrictions are so intense. Like I'm really, it gives me anxiety that I'm going to break one of these like 100 rules in
100%.
this guidebook or whatever.
But tomorrow we will say what we think of Odyssey a little bit. Just a little bit, not review it fully. Whatever. For now, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show. KindaFunny.com/KFGD with your questions, comments, concerns, bad PSN names, and everything else under the video game sun. And that's the other thing too, is I'm always like, am I allowed to say I have it? But then they never put, it's very rare that someone's like, hide it from your PSN. So, like, anybody who follows me sees me playing it. They know I'm playing. Yeah, video games.
It's fine. It comes out in like a week.
I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about, like, Stone Chin busting through the wall. I mean, like, get on the ground. You're all in trouble. Then watch us record the show live. Twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to KindaFunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screwed up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames and listening on podcast services around the globe. No matter where you get the show, thank you for your support. Consider going to patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, keeping the lights on and the mics working. For now, housekeeping. It's the final week to get your shirtless Spider-Man content on Patreon. On patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, you can get our custom Spider-Man PlayStation 4 cover that has shirtless Spider-Man on it. Over on patreon.com/KindaFunny, you can get the Panda Musk art print we're going to make of Spider-Man and shirtless Spider-Man. And today we're brought to you by NordVPN. But for now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Telltale Games report.
Oh my gosh.
Time for some ever-evolving news about the saddest story in the industry.
Aww.
3 items on the Roper Report. Cool, Greg?
A baker's dozen.
Now, you might say, Greg, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the next, it's day 3 of Kind of Funny Games.
The first item is a page and a half. Like,
it's because there's
long.
3 parts of updating you about everything happening over at Telltale Games. Andrea, before we jump into it, anything you want to say at the top about Telltale and this whole situation?
You guys covered it quite extensively yesterday on the show, but I said this in the What's Good Facebook group, but the whole thing is just really tragic, the way that all the cards are kind of falling out. And I hope people are putting the blame on the upper management the way that they should be, because the people underneath clearly had no clue this was happening. The idea that they didn't see it coming and that they were banking on one round of funding and that because it abruptly got pulled, they had to pull the plug on the entire studio is bullshit.
100%.
I'm calling bullshit. I talked to a lot of dev friends about this when I was in Japan, when this news was breaking, and they were like, studios know months in advance when this kind of stuff happens. These kind of production runways, you don't just build them overnight. Like, the studio knew. Like, people at the top who hold the purse strings knew this was coming.
That they were this close.
And they did fucking nothing to prepare, down to hiring people up until like a week or two before they knew that if they didn't get the it makes me so angry the way that this all happened.
Let's start with what I had as number C on the in our Telltale section.
You asked, so I told you.
No, I'm so glad you did. You know that I'm never stopping you. Brian Crescente over at Variety filed this report about what went wrong. First off, I'm going to include, before we get to like the real part that he's citing with the funding, like you're saying, I want to call it this paragraph. Initially, the hundreds of employees were going to be given just 3 hours on Monday to return and collect their personal items. But following the reaction to the news, Telltale announced internally that it would sponsor a job fair on Thursday. Recently appointed Telltale Games CEO Pete Hawley offered to write a recommendation on LinkedIn for anyone who asked. Thought that was an interesting addendum to everything we've been saying.
Kind of like, go fuck yourself.
100%.
Like, I'm going to write you a LinkedIn recommendation, but I'm going to give you a week of healthcare.
Anyways, back over here. This is Brian Crescente reporting on what went wrong. Telltale co-founder Dan Connors sounded shell-shocked when he answered his phone Monday morning to speak briefly with Variety. Later, he responded to questions via email, saying that despite his sadness and feelings of loss, he knows that, quote, all the people who have been part of Telltale are capable of exceptional things, and I can't wait to see them carry it forward. The process of building something that has meaning and touches people is the most fulfilling thing a creative person can do. But beware if you want to build a business. It is a perilous trip. He also noted that the sudden decision to shut down was connected directly to a failed round of financing. Quote, the company was working diligently to close a round of financing. Unfortunately, when the last potential financial backer abruptly pulled out, we were left in a position where we had no choice but to stop production. Sadly, everyone was so focused on doing what was required to keep the company going that when the last potential partner backed out, and that's important there, potential partner, not, we were already locked in, this is something that was happening. Potential partner backed out. There were no other options. While Connors declined to note what company specifically backed out, several sources say it may have been Lionsgate. Lionsgate recently notified the board that it had decided to stop funding Telltale so it could refocus on its core business. And Lionsgate was cited, one employee said, during the meeting Friday morning as one of several things that led to the decision to lay off the company's staff. Lionsgate invested a reported $40 million in Telltale back in February 2015 with the idea of working on a live-action and interactive project with the company called A Super Show, but the idea never took hold. So I think that speaks directly to what you're talking about, right? Of this wasn't the rug pulled out from under the top management. They knew they were on the ropes. They knew this was trouble, and they kept moving and doing business as usual, which puts your staff in a very perilous situation and leaves them with no safety net, no parachute. It's
bad leadership. If the CEO is working on a business deal that's going to keep the company afloat, he knows exactly what the financial runway is for the company. And if he doesn't, he's even more terrible at his job than we think he is currently.
Yeah.
And you would need to protect the people who have built your business. And I'm surprised that Dan is shell-shocked because I would assume that he would have been privy to all of those conversations as co-founder of the studio.
Yeah.
And it's just like this whole thing is just kind of like jaw-dropping in that it happened this way. And I do want to make a caveat that a lot of people have reached out and said that they feel that the Capcom Vancouver news is kind of being swept under the rug in wake of what's happening with Telltale. And I said, I hope that Capcom, as a functioning business, took care of all the employees at that studio.
Right.
If there is somebody who's watching the show that was part of that Capcom Vancouver layoff, or knows somebody that has information about how that layoff was handled, that would be fantastic for us to know. And if you guys could write in either to kindoffunny.com/KFGD or even You're Wrong and let us know,
100%.
that'd be great. But I assume the reason we're not talking about that is because those people got severance, because they got notice. They weren't just kicked out and said you don't have health care. I'm hoping that Capcom handled that the proper way. The reason this Telltale layoff is such big news is because it's outrageous the way that it happened, and the idea that they're not finishing a game that was midway through, and people are like, what about people who bought the season pass? Are they going to get refunds? Are they going to get
Orlando E says, I know we have talked about the unprecedented nature of a studio closing in the middle of a project, but what happens to the people who paid for this full product, expecting all 4 episodes and the conclusion of Clementine's story? Love what you do and keep taking care of that chicken. I think let's say, for the record right now, it doesn't happen. It's over. It's dead. Episode 2 drops today for The Walking Dead, and that's the end of it, right? I believe what'll happen is your terms and conditions, when you make that purchase on PSN, include or anywhere, when you purchase it anywhere, have a line in there that are just like, this is a promise, and if something horrible goes wrong, you wrote, this was the ticket you bought, you knew this might not happen. And that will still lead to class action lawsuits. We're now hitting on A and B stories here and everything that's happening in the Telltale world. It'll lead to lawsuits and stuff, but I mean, if the company's just gone, what are you going to do? Who are you going to sue? Who's going to come and make make good on that promise?
Exactly.
Let's get the other ones out here. So we'll work backwards. B on our subset here was Telltale on Twitter yesterday in just the weirdest thing of, all eyes are on you. I understand it's a bad time. You fired everybody but the skeleton staff. Let's write a statement, and I assume on Facebook, and then screenshot it at low res and then tweet that from the Twitter account. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Telltale tweeted the following statement. Hi, everyone. We have a Walking Dead update for you. Multiple potential partners have stepped forward to express interest in helping to see the final season through to completion. While we can't make any promises today, we are actively working towards a solution that will allow episodes 3 and 4 to be completed and released in some form. In the meantime, episode 2 will release tomorrow across all platforms as planned. We hope to have answers for your other questions soon.
Why didn't you seek funding before you shut the studio down? I have to hope that somebody did. But if you're so desperate that you're going to lay off your entire staff, save like a couple dozen people, wouldn't you show people this like press release that you're going to have to send and like almost outright beg and say, we need some financing. Can you please help us float it until we finish these games so we can like lock in these deals? Like, I have never had to seek a round of financing, in the 7, 8, or 9 digit range, right? So I don't know exactly how difficult that is. However, I have had to fund projects in the past, so I know a little bit about financing entertainment projects. And like, there's a lot of people they could have reached out to before they shut the studio down.
Everything,
like the question marks.
Every step about this, you're like, what the fuck is going on? How did you get to this point? How did you get to this decision, right?
Somebody's got to start talking.
And so I'm sure, I'm Jason Schreier is, I'm sure, undercover somewhere right now talking to somebody in a parking garage. No, yeah, you're right. And I think if we're going to take that avenue first in this discussion, of course, it's 2018. Look at us with Patreon. Look at everything Double Fine's done on Kickstarter. Look at Fig. There were so many different ways to be like, fuck, we're falling and we're about like make the statement to the
Double
world.
Fine's the perfect example.
Hey
they
guys,
were there.
We're on the ropes. We're fucked. We might have to just stop doing everything. Business as usual. We need this amount of money to finish the season, or we need this amount of money to take care of our employees. We're asking you, the fans who have invested so much time and honor, because like I would have given money if it was like we need to try. And again, not even the game. We are out of runway. The plane is Telltale is dead. That we do not think we're going to be able to come back from this. We want to take care of our employees. We want to let them finish their vision for The Walking Dead, right? We want to wind the team down to just that team, which sucks enough, but we also want to be able to take care of the people we're laying off to get to that team to then lay off everybody and close the studio. That would have been holy shit, I can't believe it's this bad. And then it's what you're talking about of, yes, Yeah, of course people understand the value of the Walking Dead brand and where you are. You know what I mean? Of like,
well, the deal they had with Netflix for Stranger Things, and obviously the deal that they had for Minecraft Story Mode. Like, they have a lot of valuable licenses.
So fire the
that
flare.
Somebody will buy.
Why didn't you fire the flare and be like, hey guys, this is how bad it is, rather than just be like internally, hey, you're all fired. It's all over. Sorry, no severance, healthcare to the end of the month. Enjoy your life. Like, there was a million different ways to do this and not have it be this, and not have it be the statement that then broke the internet into two very vocal camps of I'm never, yesterday we were talking about this. I understand very much being disconnected from, you get a Telltale game and you see the Telltale brand and it's Telltale, and that's what you think of. You don't think of the people back there, right? Mm-hmm. So there's the honest and reaction of like, oh, thank goodness, I want to see how Clem's story ends. And then there was the other reaction summed up best by Cory Barlog on Twitter. I would hope this means that you will first pay your entire team their severance and then proceed to finish the final episodes. I would be fine waiting however long it took to ensure we first treated those who worked so hard with the humanity and respect they deserve. Heart. Exactly. And that was the thing of, I saw multiple Telltale people struggling with this. The writer of episode 2 on Twitter yesterday being like, I'm crying happy tears seeing this. And then people were using that then in the argument when people were like, well, wait, no, fucking pay the people first. You're doing all this. And then people were like, well, the writer's happy. And it's like, even the writer, she came back, I believe, and was like, it's a complex situation, you know what I mean, of emotions right now. Because obviously they want to see their work finished. But are they the ones who are going to do this work? The people who, think about this, you just got unceremoniously executed by your company. You're out of a job. Your life is in free fall. I'm possibly exaggerating, possibly not. For certain people,
as somebody who's been part of a layoff, it's traumatic.
And so like now that studio who just mishandled everything, all the higher ups have mishandled this thing from every fucking angle we've seen. And again, maybe behind the scenes there's more. Maybe I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I don't think these are evil people or anything. But like, would you want to then be like, okay, cool, I'll come back and do this. I'll come back to the thing. Like, they took all their computers, they have all this stuff. Is it going to be the same team? Who's approaching them to say, we'll help you finish this? Is it like, I'm Studio X and we want to help you, so you give it to us and we'll go off your scripts, or we're going to do the, it's like, what the fuck is happening? I
don't know why human resources seems like it's such an impossible thing for people to figure out. One of my friends, Dave Osher, tweeted something kind of profound about human resources. He's like, it's literally, we're human, period. Resources, period. That's the way that they see us. Yeah. Just as like labor. Right?
And that was the thing people were getting understandably frustrated about yesterday, of so many game developers or game creators being like, game development is not a machine where you just replace the cogs and the game gets pooped out the way you want it to be. And pooped out's a weird thing, but you know what I mean? Of like, yeah. It gets popped out.
It's not an assembly line.
Your final product. So like, removing the people, because you are not going to get back the exact same team that did episodes 1 and 2 or had the vision for 4 and 5.
Well, and trying to get a brand new team up to speed is like, that it seems completely counterproductive and inefficient.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing of what you're talking about in human resources and talking about the humanity of games, and what Corey's talking about, right? Is like, yes, I'm Greg Miller and I love The Walking Dead, and I was psyched for Clementine's journey, and I'd love to know what their vision of it ending is. I don't ever need to see it if the money that could go to this could be given to the people who just lost their jobs. If they could get a severance package, if they get a little bit more healthcare, because no matter what, you still have to worry about having no job now, but give them a little more runway of like, right, here, you have a little bit of time to figure it out.
They still have to pay rent, like right. I'm sure they have lease agreements and they have obligations and things like that. And even 2 weeks of severance is nothing,
Yeah.
It's just, I hope, did you read all the details about the class action lawsuit?
No, we haven't done that one. You ready?
Yeah,
let's jump into A then. The first part of your Telltale sub-block, but not your last. This is from Smid over at Polygon. This is about a lawsuit that's been filed, a class action lawsuit against Telltale. I'm going to read it in length because it's legal stuff and we're not good at that, so I don't want to just leave you hanging. A former Telltale employee is suing the company in a class action lawsuit alleging that it violated labor laws on the books in California and nationwide when it laid off hundreds of employees on Friday in advance of a planned closure of the studio. The complaint, filed Monday in federal court in San Francisco, is a class action lawsuit submitted by Vernie Roberts on behalf of himself and his fellow laid-off workers. In the complaint, Roberts says Telltale, which is based in the San Francisco suburb of San Rafael, California, let go of the employees, quote, without cause and without providing them with advanced written notice as required by the WARN Act. The Federal Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, which became law in 1988, stipulates that most businesses with at least 100 full-time workers must notify employees 60 days in advance of any plant closings or mass layoffs. The act defines a mass layoff as a reduction of 50 or more employees within a 30-day period, parentheses, if the total comprises at least 1/3 of the company's workforce, and any layoff of 500 or more workers. California's state-level version of the WARN Act, which took effect in 2003, has more stringent requirements for businesses. It lowers the company size threshold to 75 full or part-time workers and applies to any reduction of at least 50 employees, parentheses, both the state and federal laws require advance notice of 60 days. Roberts's complaint says the total layoffs at Telltale amount to approximately 275 employees. The figure appears to include the layoffs that occurred on September 21st, which media reports pegged at about 250 individuals, as well as the skeleton crew of 25 that remains at the studio as it winds down operations. Telltale terminated the employees without providing any severance, according to the complaint. The laid-off individuals are reportedly receiving health benefits only until the end of the month. Under the WARN Act, businesses that undertake plant closings or mass layoffs with fewer than 60 days advance notice are subject to significant financial penalties. Rather than pay fines, the company must give affected employees back pay and benefits for each day of violation. Roberts' complaint says Telltale gave no advance notice of the cuts, which would mean that Telltale would have to give each of the 275 employees salary and benefits for a full 60 days following their termination if the plaintiffs win the lawsuit. The plaintiffs are requesting a jury trial and are seeking to win the aforementioned compensation for the laid-off employees, an amount equal to the wages and benefits that the workers would have received if their employment continued for 60 days after their termination, plus interest, in accordance with the federal and California versions of the WARN Act. Go fucking get them.
The scary thing about this kind of legislation, or this kind of lawsuit, I should say, is that if indeed Telltale's coffers are empty. It's going to be moot. Like, right. I mean, who are they going to get the money from?
We file bankruptcy and that's it, right? Yeah.
You know, like that's the really sad part.
And I mean, again, I understand that we are outsiders, we're commentators, we're talking heads on this, right?
Yeah.
It seems pretty cut and dry that, you fucked up this WARN Act. It feels this is fucked up. You are in violation, which to me then definitely means on the B list here of you on Twitter, multiple potential partners have stepped up. No. If you get the investment money from them, this is gonna tie you up from ever using that money on the game.
Well, it depends on how much money that is, right?
Sure.
Like what that amounts to, and I don't know, like what kind of a line item that would be on, a P&L for a business of Telltale size. But I would hope that there is some possibility, and this is totally like a pipe dream, that maybe somebody would step up and say, "Hey, we want to bring people back." If you're willing, I mean, I wouldn't blame a single employee at Telltale for kind of like giving them the bird and saying like, hell no, I'm not coming back. But if people were like, hey, we'll give you your job back. We will put all the money back into the company so we can finish the projects that are on the docket now, and then we'll reevaluate. So give them like maybe 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
I bet you at least half of the people who got laid off would immediately take their jobs back.
Sure.
Because people have obligations. They have families and they have expenses.
You're giving them the runway of like, cool, you get 3 to 6 months. Sure. We're working on this game. That's how much we're funded. You're losing your job now. So you can figure out where you want to go work next. You can figure out housing, schools, all the little things you forget about, where your spouse works, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just such a fucking quagmire of nightmare fuel.
It's
just
fucking heartbreaking is what it is. It's so sad. Especially living here in the Bay and knowing how brutally crushing financially living here is for people.
Yeah.
Like if tomorrow I found out that all of my contract positions were gone and I wasn't going to get another paycheck and I had to figure it out with how much we have to pay in rent, like I would be devastated.
Yeah. It's crazy. Cool, Greg. Did you pay attention to that, though? No. WARN Act said, if it's 75 employees, so I can still close this company whenever I want, and you're effed.
You can come work with What's Good Games, Cool Greg.
Don't you take him. If you're not going to start defending that, too, I'm always like trying to keep you away from Joey. Yeah, I know you want
Kevin.
Joey. You can have Kevin. A question came in from one Mr. Rip City. kindoffunny.com/KFGD about all this Telltale stuff, but it was a different lens than what I've been thinking. Hello, KFGD hosts. I'm a disabled gamer bilateral neuropathy, parentheses, nerve pain in both arms. And the closure of Telltale Games is a massive blow to me, as they were some of the only games I could play with my disability. I love gaming. However, I'm very worried about my future in gaming due to Telltale's demise. I have 2 quick questions. Number 1, I've played many other types of games. Many other types of walking slims / QTE QuickTime event games in my past, like Life is Strange, but they are usually made by indie developers. Are there any devs that you would recommend for a disabled gamer like me to be able to play these type of games now? And number 2, is there any chance Telltale could be picked up and resurrected by a company like THQ Nordic, for example? Or is that not possible? Thank you. First off, Mr. Ripsody, fuck yes, THQ Nordic. I guarantee that's got to be the company that reached out and was like, get in the bus. We're going shopping. We're doing this. Andrea, I want to kick it over to our friend Steve from Able Gamers. I reached out to him because he had obviously Able Gamers doing great work putting people
ablegamers.org
like Mr. Ripsody into the Xbox adaptive controller, things like that. Here's what Steve pops in and says. Hey, disabled friend. Losing Telltale was a huge shot to many of us who like playing games that focus on story over how fast you can mash a button. Believe me when I tell you you're not alone. The good news is that your future in gaming is secure. Not only is this the most progressive and accessible era in the history of video games, but with so many assistive technologies on the market today, you'll never find yourself in a situation where you can't play games. There's a lot of games you can play with minimal clicking that you might discover you love. Hearthstone is a fantastic option if you love card games where the only thing you have to do is click a card of your choice. Sim games have been having a revival recently with games like Megaquarium, Stonehearth, and 2 Point Hospital. But if you want to stick with similar-ish games, I would look forward to Life is Strange 2, which releases in just 2 days. Check out Captain Spirit, The Last Day of June, Pathfinder Kingmaker, Valkyria Chronicles 4, and This is the Police 2. Or you could consider something completely different and go with a game like Rocket League, which I could teach you how to play with only a mouse or only your feet. It's difficult for me to assess exactly what games you would enjoy without doing a consultation. If you ever want to receive a free consultation to figure out what kind of gaming equipment might help you game, stop by ablegamers.org or reach out to me directly at Steven Spawn on Twitter, SPOHN, STEVEN too. But we talk about Steven all the time, I'm sure you know. Hope that helps, Steve. Nailed it, Steve. Those are the games I'd recommend as well, right? There's a lot of great turn-based stuff.
Or super massive games, too.
Of course. Yeah. But even then, there's... Well, yeah, you're right. No,
well, a lot of the stuff... There's quite a few games that are utilizing PlayLink on PlayStation now, which is just using your cell phone and tapping a single button on your phone, which is great.
PlayLink was another... great PlayStation idea that just withered on the vine a bit. I'm not knocking the games.
They're still releasing games with PlayLink.
What are they still releasing?
They just announced one just like a week ago.
We had That's You, fun game. We had the supermassive game that I can't remember the name of. Do you remember it?
The detective game, right?
Yeah, kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. We did a Let's Play of it. We enjoyed it a lot. They came out hard with that. With a whole bunch of cool things for PlayLink, and then it kind of just went quiet.
Oh, Uno just got a PlayLink update on PlayStation 4.
Okay, an update. Sure.
Hold on. There's 2 new PlayLink games coming in November. Andrew's just deal with it.
Okay.
And Chimp Party, which I don't know what that is, and Knowledge is Power Decades.
Oh, good. Knowledge is Power. No, yeah, that's the fun one. Yeah. Okay. It's still there. I'm just saying. They came out originally very hard on it.
Yes.
They were promoting it.
Well, you know, there was Andy Serkis's Imagineering, the game, the Planet of the Apes, New Frontier or something.
Yeah.
Can't remember what the name of that is.
Yeah, that wasn't a great one. Life is Strange, though. 2.
Does that have PlayLink?
No, but it's what we're talking about here of like another.
Oh yeah, just a few days away.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so ready.
Can't wait.
Episode 1.
Number 2. I inhaled something there and almost died. Number 2. Street Fighter Esports League is coming to Japan. I stole this information from somewhere. Transcribe what I say, you're wrong, and put it into Google. And
I'll find it.
It might be Games Industry Biz. No. Maybe. Anyways, I didn't credit anybody. Capcom has released the first details for the official Street Fighter League in Japan. I'm pretty sure this is GamesIndustry.biz. Andrea, to GamesIndustry.biz.
I'm looking it up.
The competition will be one of Capcom's first major esports initiatives in the region. Who wrote it? Who wrote it, Andrea?
Oh my gosh, I'm clicking on the link.
Andrea,
James Batchelor.
Sorry, James. You're a frequent contributor. We love you very much. The competition will be one of Capcom's first major esports initiatives in the region, having previously announced plans to enter the esports market earlier this year. The Street Fighter League will center around Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, with its first matches due to be held in Japan in 2019. The format is currently planned to focus on 3-on-3 team battles. 6 teams will be formed from a mix of unlicensed competitors and those licensed by the Japanese Esport Union, which was formed at the beginning of 2018. The Street Fighter League will complement activity the publisher has already run in North America, working to establish Street Fighter V as a popular esport. Esports, Andrea. They're here to stay.
They're all the rage.
They're all the rage.
That's what all the kids are doing these days is getting paid to play video games.
I tell you what. I got nothing to say. About it. Go get them. Number 3. This is one you put on here. Anthem has hit its alpha milestone. This is the Bioware blog.
Yeah, so I saw this reported on a couple different sites, but I just decided to pull the statement from the blog that Casey Hudson wrote.
Friend of the show.
And if you guys want to read his full statement, I truncated this down, but he gave a lot of background about his history at the studio and kind of where he was and where he is today, and gave some really kind of nice anecdotes about Bioware as a studio. So if you want to read the whole thing, that's on the Bioware blog. But he writes, last week, the Anthem team passed its alpha milestone, meaning that every part of the game is in and functioning. It's a ton of fun to play and full of engaging character moments and storylines, but it's also exciting to see people around the office and at our partner studios grouping together for adventures in this new world we've created. Bioware games have always been about capturing a shared experience, whether through a party of fictional characters or other players. And somehow the idea of players being immersed together in the universe of Anthem makes the setting seem even more real. These days, the energy around the office feels a lot like it did back then on Baldur's Gate, where the team is starting to get a sense of the magic they've created together, and there's a growing excitement about finally releasing it into the world. There's a ton of work ahead, but everyone knows what they need to do and is working with a level of passion and effort that's truly inspiring. The team has been working incredibly hard to reach alpha, and considering the complexity and scale of a game like Anthem, hitting this milestone on time is a tremendous achievement. So what's next? Now that the all-important pieces are in the game, we can move almost entirely to bug fixing, testing, and tuning, which will be an incredible amount of work on a game this big. We have some really ambitious plans for launch and beyond, and we really want to get it right. You resisted.
I said it still,
We will have news soon about when you can learn more about Anthem and to try it out for yourself. Until then, know that your support means everything to us. Seeing so many of you at PAX for the Our World My Story panel and your encouraging words and great questions on Twitter makes a difference, because all of the effort that the team puts into making these games is really fueled by the hope that in the end you will like what we've made. And even though we've passed a huge milestone, there's still a lot to do. So like Halleck says, time to get to work.
Is Halleck from Anthem?
Yeah, I think.
Do we know him well enough for him to have a catchphrase?
So he's been in both of the demos, the
Okay.
E3 demo and the thing that they just showed at PAX too. This is exciting news. One of the big takeaways from the panel that they did at PAX, we got a pre-briefing for, was that they acknowledged their weakness as a studio with the launch of Andromeda and how they really kind of dropped the ball in certain phases of polishing leading up to launch. And they said, we want to learn from those mistakes and make sure that we pay particularly close attention to some of the things that got overlooked at Andromeda's launch. And I really appreciated them being honest about that and acknowledging that, they clearly made some mistakes with that launch and that they are hyper aware of what people have said about, their studio in relationship to Andromeda. And they want to make sure that they don't get anything wrong with this launch. And I'm really, really excited for it. So obviously you guys know that I worked a lot with the Bioware team at E3 this year for EA
Money
Play. I know. Hashtag Shillionaire. But I'm really pumped for Anthem.
Why? And this isn't me attacking at all.
Yeah. So I got to play this demo several times, and I've got to play with 2 different javelins from the 4 that they've announced so far. And the reason I'm excited for, because it really does feel like it's kind of genre bending in a way that we haven't really seen yet in this space. And so it's taking the things that I love about Destiny, the idea of being with a fire team and playing co-op and a PvE experience, but also really kind of melding in some of that amazing combat that I love from Bioware games, particularly from the Mass Effect franchise with the combo detonators. And the shooting and the guns that I've seen so far in the demo feel really good. And the lore seems like it's going to be something that's going to be very intriguing to discover throughout the world. And I trust BioWare as a narrative studio to build something that's complete and whole and is enticing and intriguing.
I haven't picked up sticks on it yet. I think that's the big, chasm for me between like.
You didn't try it at all at E3.
No, sent Andy and I thought Nick, but it was one of those things in terms
Never
of scheduling.
sent Nick to do anything.
Hey man, he did an all right job with Red Dead. That was, God, what a depressing day.
I also
what
got
a depressing
that
day.
email
I got that email
Japan.
and I'm like,
I was like, no.
Everyone's gone but Nick. All right, Nick, you get to go see Red Dead. Watching it, we were both at the same PAX pre-briefing and stuff. Like, I look at it and I'm like, I can tell it's a pretty game. I can see the BioWare quality on it. It's just like, it just doesn't move my needle. And I mean, that's just me, I guess, in terms of what games I look for. But this has happened before, right? Where I get closer to the launch of something where I didn't think I was going to care about it and I get into it. But just seeing it, I'm just like, doesn't look like my kind of world. It doesn't seem like a place. And I don't know. And it's also because it's so close to the Division 2, maybe, where I'm just so excited for the Division 2 that's the world I'd rather invest my time in.
They're wildly different games,
I agree.
right?
I'm not at all. But I mean, in terms of time sink world building, it's very similar to right now, where it's like, yeah, we're playing Assassin's Creed. That's great. But like the looming thing of Red Dead is coming. And like, I feel like for me, Division's a looming one where it's like, that's going to take over when I get there.
Right, but this game comes out before the Division.
I know, but
so you'll have time to play before the Division even happens.
I just look at it and I was like, I don't know, man. I just don't know if I can do it. It just doesn't seem like my kind of thing.
I'm just really
Depressing
encouraged
world.
by what they showed, the new animations that they showed at PAX at the panel. If you guys didn't see it, I believe that's posted on their YouTube channel. And the idea that they're going first person for these cutscenes with the NPCs, and they're changing the way that you're interacting with your crewmates. I'm ready. I'm in.
Good. Maybe you'll drag me out there too.
I will drag you out.
Parker Petrov wrote in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD just like you can. And says, hey, Greg and Andrea. Casey Hudson announced on the BioWare blog that Anthem has hit the alpha milestone, which they say means every part of the game is in and functioning. Does this indicate to you that Anthem will hit its target release date? Also, what's the difference between an alpha and a beta milestone in quantifiable terms? Glad to see the best duo in the business back at it, Parker. Are they going to hit the release date of February?
I don't see why not. February 22nd.
Right, it's one of those 22nd games, yeah.
They were very confident, when they announced the release date at E3.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that they were looking at their production timeline saying everything's falling into place, we're gonna make it.
Yeah.
If they end up pushing it like 4 to 6 weeks or even 8 weeks, like into April or May, that wouldn't bother me. I think it wouldn't bother any BioWare fan. I think that
after Andromeda for sure. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, you need more time,
like,
take the time.
Yeah, if you have some more bugs and polish it. Don't forget they're releasing a demo on February 1st across all platforms.
Yeah.
So everyone gets to try it. And they said that demo slice is going to be like a real chunk of the game. It's not going to be like this artificial thing that you
vertical
play.
slice it, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like this is part of the game that you will play. So.
Okay. But you think they're going to hit it?
I think they're going to hit it.
Okay.
Yeah. Why, you want to put money down?
No, well, I mean, I will, sure. Me, money bags over here, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames.
I'll put $20 down.
Damn, that's too rich for my blood. I'm not that confident one way or the other.
Gosh,
see you later, sir. How do you describe the difference between an alpha and a beta?
This is a question beyond my scope of knowledge.
Well, and that's the thing is like if the way I understand it, Parker, and you say quantifiable terms, from what I understand, it kind of slides for every studio. Which is what for you to say like when people release it's alpha footage. That for me always meant, it's pretty early along. It looks great for how early along it is. But for them to be like they've crossed the alpha milestone, it's like, oh, okay. Like I thought you would have been through that already. But again, we're not game devs, and I do think that that's a little bit different for every person.
If you are a game dev and you have an answer to this question, kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Yeah. Let us know.
And if you're listening later, kindoffunny.com/KFGD with some proof. Maybe just tweet at me. That'd probably be easier. I don't want somebody out there pretending like, yes, I'm a developer.
Well, we have plenty of people we can ask.
Who are we asking? Like?
Who you want to ask?
Yeah.
We could ask Gio Corsi. He would know.
Yeah, but like,
he's a video game producer.
I agree that he would know. The problem with it is then we got to go through a PR person, I feel. You know what I mean? Like Sony doesn't like me just like reaching straight.
Well, for him to give an official response, yeah.
Right. Hold on.
Who are you calling?
Well, we'll see if they answer first. Because this would work because they're an indie person, but they've worked at like big studios.
Okay.
So then they would know.
Is it Teddy?
No. That would be a good person though too. It's just ringing and ringing. He can't be in a meeting. Hey, Steve Gaynor, it's Greg Miller. How are you?
Nice.
Hey, can I put you live on our show right now?
He's like, hell no.
Yeah, no. We have a development question for you that we're not equipped to answer, and we feel like you would know the answer. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, Steve Gaynor, you're on Kind of Funny Games Daily with me and Andrea. Hi.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good to talk to you. Thanks for calling.
So I don't know if you saw this, but there's been I was going to make a very crass joke. I won't do that. Casey Hudson talked about Anthem's moved past its alpha milestone, to which a reader wrote in, the reader's name's Parker. I guess not a reader, but I call her, whatever, it doesn't matter. And he says, what's the difference between an alpha and a beta milestone in quantifiable terms? Is there, as a game developer, Steve Gaynor, is there like, if you say alpha, somebody knows exactly what you mean, and if you say beta, somebody knows exactly what you mean?
So I want to start this by saying I am not a representative of Bioware, and I don't want to speak for their development process. So
sure.
Don't take. So if I say something, don't assume this is the state that Anthem is in. From my perspective, a beta is more or less like content complete, and like most of the stuff in the game is there, and a lot of it isn't polished or bug fixed, but it's sort of like, here's the game, we just need to finish it. And then alpha is a little bit more like, okay, we've got all the major systems in place, and we've got like a representative part of the game playable, and we can kind of judge the core loop, but we still need to like build out a lot of what's going to be in the game and actually, polish things and make it more playable and finished. So
that makes sense, and that lines up with what Casey was saying,
Yeah. So I think it's sort of like, you've got a good, solid first draft, and you know what you're going towards with an alpha, and then with a beta, you're sort of like, all right, we need to get this thing finished,
You crushed it. Look at you. You're probably at some coffee shop. You're just chilling out, and look at you. You just killed it.
It's like this is my job or something.
I know, right? Like, you know what you're talking about. And I saw your haircut on Instagram. It looked great. I don't think you're going gray. Don't worry. No problem.
All right.
All right. Well,
sir.
We love you. We'll talk to you later.
On the show.
Oh, no problem. Everybody buy Gone Home in Tacoma.
Yeah, it's on Switch now. Get Gone Home on your Switch.
There you go. Get it on Switch. Bye. What a nice young gentleman.
He is a very nice gentleman.
What's exciting is that he's still making games, Andrea. Obviously, Gone Home's on Switch now. Tacoma's been out for a while. I can't wait to see what's next. But it's so far away before Fulbright will make a game. If I wanted to know what games were out in mom and grop shops today, Andrew, where would I go?
You would go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily show host each and every weekday.
Yeah. You got a Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen,
which
means strap in. Let's start at the top. Of course, I was thinking about this morning, and I've thought about it in the past. I haven't done anything, right? It's the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform. It's listed by the Kind of Funny Games each and every weekday, right? And like when I do the news stories, I always credit the news people. But I never credit Kotaku. Every day I go to Kotaku, I take their great list.
I go to VGReleaselist.com.
I know, but I didn't like that list. You started sending me there, and I was like, no, I didn't like it. It didn't work for me.
Why? Because you can't just copy and paste it.
It's just.
But they don't miss anything.
They do. Because we did do it for a while where we combined, and then we were still missing stuff. There's no way to get all the games. There's too many games.
Well, because there's a lot of games that we intentionally ignore, like mobile titles, because there's just too many of them for us to go through.
And they're for babies. Anyway, shout out to Kotaku. Out today, Seeker Slayer Survivor DLC is available for Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. And that was the other thing, is that I get so many press releases, we add in stuff on our own too. So it's hard to just credit somebody, but I wanted to give Kotaku a shout out. A Gummy's Life is on Switch. Cool, Greg? I demand a review from you on that. Got it. The Cat and the Coop. Is that right? Or Coo? Cat and the C-O-U-P. How do I pronounce that? Coop or Coo?
C-O-U-P?
C-O-U-P, yeah.
Coo.
The Cat and the Coo on PlayStation 4. Creed Rise to Glory on PlayStation VR. Crypt Track on PS4. Dakar 18 on PS4. Dark Eclipse on PlayStation VR. Deployment on PS4. The Escapist Complete Edition on Switch. The Grand Museum VR in PSVR. Hollow Knight Void Heart Edition on PS4, Xbox One. Jack and Jill DX on PS4 and PS Vita. Cool, Greg? I need you to try to find me. Oh, you can't do it. Yeah, you can. I have to turn the thing, right? Can you try to find me on YouTube a trailer for Jack and Jill DX on PlayStation 4 VR? Oh, you can do it. I don't have to worry about it. Little bug today for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Metal Max Xeno on PS4. Oh My Godheads Party Edition on Switch. Pitter Pot on PS4, Punchline on PS4 and Vita, Revenant Dogma on PS4 and Vita, South Park: The Stick of Truth on Switch, Think of the Children on PlayStation 4 and Switch. Worth noting, Think of the Children, we had met them a long time ago. We had done something, I think, at RTX Sydney with them. I don't think we've ever done a full-fledged Let's Play. However, the entire Kind of Funny crew, all 7 of us, available as playable characters in Think of the Children if you want to play that. We are not sponsored to say that. I'm just letting you know. This is The Police 2 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. Time Spinner on PlayStation 4, PS Vita, and PC. Ultimate Chicken Horse on Switch. Valkyria Chronicles 4 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch. Killface 13 wrote in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, "What's up, Greg and Andrea? I've been waiting for the return of the Valkyria Chronicles series ever since I rolled credits on the first game back on PS3. I tried the second one on PSP, but it just wasn't for me. But with this dream come true release finally happening today, I'm faced with an extremely difficult decision. Should I get Valkyria Chronicles 4 on my PS4 Pro or my Switch? I've seen absolutely no comparison videos online of the performance between systems and don't know if there ever will be one, since this is more of a niche game. Greg, have you played both versions? If so, what are the major differences? Should I give up the trophies and a probably better performance for the convenience of playing it anywhere? Please, God, help me. Thank you. You're extremely awesome individuals."
You've been only playing it on your Switch.
I've only been playing it on my Switch, correct. Yeah, and I can't imagine playing it on PlayStation 4. Not because I don't love my PlayStation 4, but the ability to have that game with me anywhere. Like I played it, like I said in tweets and on yesterday's show, 12 hours on the plane from London. I got a New York flight coming up. I'm so stoked to have more time to play it. It's just perfect there. And I know Jake James Lugo, kind of funny best friend who's now in the industry and reviewing games and doing stuff. He had talked about in his review process, he had weird things where his controls were freezing on playing on Switch. I never saw that. Somebody had hit him up. Maybe he needed to update his controller. My performance issues, I know people were worried about frame rates from demos they had and stuff like that. I've had really none of that. I think at one point when in one of the celebration animations, like, oh, that kind of got framey, and that was it. I'm sure it runs better and looks better on PlayStation 4, but I think it still looks beautiful on Switch. And if I would look at the PlayStation 4 trophies, are you crazy enough to try to get that platinum? If so, there you go. If you're at your PlayStation 4 more than you're at your Switch, go for it. But for a traveling man like me, Andrea Renee, only one place to play it. Anybody from What's Good playing Valkyria Chronicles 4?
I think Steimer is.
She has no opinions of it yet, though, for the show?
Well, I haven't checked in with her about it. Yeah, we haven't done a live show since 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Cool Greg has pulled up Jack and Jill DX Platinum walkthrough on Trophy Guides and Achievements. He's speaking my language. Oh my God, it's a 10-minute platinum. Who called it? Greg Miller called it. Who's getting 2 trophies or platinum trophies in Jack and Jill DX? Probably Greg Miller. Now, this doesn't look terrible, though.
It looks cute.
It's a little goofy platformer. Yeah, you can show the people if you don't mind. Cool Greg, if that's easy. There you go. Yeah, it looks like he's running around. He's collecting some coins. And
it looks like old school Mario.
What it looks like is old school Mario with a very...
black and white.
But then he just meets... it looks like Super Meat Boy, but it's way cuter and not as punishing.
Oh, yeah, the little sprites.
But a 10-minute platinum walkthrough. Woo-wee, Andrea Renee. Woo! Finishing off the list, V-Rally 4 on PC, and then Warface on Xbox One. Andrea, we got new dates for you.
Yeah.
Ultra Space Battle Brawl is coming to Steam October 4th. Mark of the Ninja Remastered is launching on the Nintendo Switch on October 9th. And then you added in this one.
Yeah, so I got a press release about this. At Games has announced the Blast family of products.
Blast!
Add these to more of your kind of like mini console type things. So they have several different versions that include 20 classic video games that are going to be releasing in the US and Canada on October 1st and will retail between $19.99 and $39.99. The Blast family includes Atari Flashback Blast Volume 1, Atari Flashback Blast Volume 2, Activision Flashback Blast, oh my gosh, Legends Flashback Blast, Bandai Namco Flashback Blast, and the Atari Flashback Blast Volume 3 swaps the wireless gamepad for a pair of wireless game paddles, which are specially optimized for its selection of classic paddle and ball games. Games featured include Centipede, Millipede, Yar's Revenge, Asteroids, Missile Command, Pitfall, River Raid, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug. The complete lineup you can find
on the internet.
Yes.
I'm sure Jared Petty will come back from wherever he is in his mountain retreat.
He's like, "Where's my Atari Flash Blast Volume 17?"
I need the Flash Blast back rack.
Oh my gosh, that's so hard to say. Flash back blast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Reader Mail. But first, I'm going to tell you, Kinda Funny Games Daily is brought to you by NordVPN. You know what sucks, Andrea?
What, Greg?
Getting your data stolen.
Yeah,
but
it does.
NordVPN is here to help. You can start protecting your internet experience today with 66% off a 2-year plan by using code GAMES at nordvpn.com/games. NordVPN protects your browsing and data from anyone wanting to snoop through it. Thousands of servers in more than 61 countries. No data logging. Nord's VPN Chrome browser is lightweight and user-friendly from the first click, and it secures your browsing in seconds. Android and iOS apps are there to secure your mobile browsing experience. You get super fast servers, 24/7 customer support, and up to 6 simultaneous connections alongside an automatic kill switch, military-grade encryption, double data encryption for increased anonymity, and a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Plus, it's the only VPN to get a perfect score from PC Mag. NordVPN is offering my viewers 66% off a 2-year plan. That's about $3.99 per month. Just go to nordvpn.com/games or click the link in the description to sign up and start protecting yourself. That's nordvpn.com/GAMES. Use code GAMES to get started today. Andrea.
Yes, Greg.
We're going to start with eathdemon. Yeah, you'd think it was, I would think, oh, you misspelled Earth, right?
Demon.
But then in parentheses it says as in eathen. Eathdemon. But he spelled eathen, but eathen. Whatever. Eathdemon says, hey, Greg and Andrea, this question is for Andrea since you play a lot of Destiny 2. I assume you were not into moos. So what got you into the end game Destiny? As someone who raided in World of Warcraft from 2010 to 2012, at the time, a lot of people, including the games press, could not understand why people would do that. And 6 years later, those same people are now raiding in Destiny. I'm just interested in an outside observer as to what changed. What's moos? Oh, MMOs is what he's saying. Moos. But he left out an M.
I was like, I don't even know what that acronym stands for.
I assume you were not into MMOs, so what got you into the end game for Destiny? Why does Destiny work for you?
Because I like first-person shooters, and Bungie, I've said this so many times, is one of the best developers for first-person shooters in the world. And I think that's not disputable. So the gameplay, first and foremost, was super polished. And if the gameplay hadn't been as polished, if it had felt a little clunky or wasn't, as beautiful as it is, like that probably would have pulled me out of the Destiny ecosystem a long time ago.
Sure.
So that's a big reason. Also, the camaraderie that I had with my clanmates, both in original Destiny and now in Destiny 2, is really what kept me playing. Having the ability to really connect in online spaces with people and kind of develop those friendships through playing together was something that really got me invested in that franchise, and is why there's a lot of people that continue to play Destiny daily and weekly and have been playing for years.
It's what you're talking about, and I think what eathdemon is talking about as well, right? It's the gameplay that'll get you hooked, but then it is the, not tropes, but the things you expect from MMO or an online experience of clanmates and teams and getting into that rhythm of, okay, well, it's Tuesday. Every Tuesday we sign on and do this. Like, it's the same thing where, you could remove Destiny from this and put in DC Universe Online, right? Where, I didn't give a flying fuck about WoW because I'm just not that kind of thing. But when it was like, we're giving you a superhero game on a console that is in your universe, like, of course I was in and fell in love with it. And then it is the same hooks of an RPG, the same of, leveling up, feeling more powerful, the same hooks of MMOs, of playing with other people and having these leagues and things. Like, that's what keeps you coming back.
And I don't necessarily agree about the same people are now raiding in Destiny. He says here, at the time, a lot of people, including the games press, could not understand why people would do that. I don't know who a lot of people were that you're referring to. Most of the people that I knew in the games press really enjoyed Destiny when it came out, or they just didn't play it at all. But the people that did play were playing all the time. And I think they've clearly made substantial improvements since the game first launched, back in 2014 to where it is today. But I
don't think he's comparing Destiny 1. What he's saying is, we would all poo-poo MMOs of sitting there like, why are you doing this 4-hour-long dungeon or whatever?
Wait, who's poo-pooing MMOs?
Well, it was on PC, so I'm sure I was big on that.
That sounds like something Greg Miller would do. Yeah,
it does sound like something
I think that MMOs have always held a special place in the kind of landscape of video game genres that have been revered for a really long time because they've been around for a really long time. They haven't been as mainstream because the time commitment that you need to do to be successful and have fun in an MMO is really unreasonable and just unattainable for the vast majority of gamers out there. You know, the idea of being able to sink, 40 to 50 hours a week into a game like WoW or Destiny or any other kind of, shared world experience is just not feasible for a lot of people, particularly for people that have kids.
Speaking of all this, we haven't gotten your report on the new Destiny content, really. Right,
that's true.
A whole bunch of stuff has happened in the Destiny world since you were last on here.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
It's really great. They finally have brought back that desire to want to play every day. The return of daily missions, daily crucibles, daily story, daily bounties. Bringing back bounties, I think, was such a smart thing to do because it incentivizes players to want to log in every day and to get those rewards. Yeah. The grind is as difficult as ever. In fact, it's probably more difficult now than it's ever been, but it's more fun to grind now than it has been previously. So while on one hand, I'm like, oh God, my light level's moving so slow. On the other hand, I'm having so much fun doing the grind that it doesn't bother me as much. Yeah. I love the new content, the new story stuff that they built in, how they're tying it to the greater Destiny lore has been really fun to watch and to kind of see that payoff happen in the Last Wish and the raid. Now, I do obviously have some complaints and some gripes about some of the things that Bungie is doing, but we don't need to get into the nitpicky of that here. I am unfortunately not going to be on the show on Friday because I'm going to be making an appearance on Fireteam Chat.
And I want you to go in there and nail Destin's ass
if you guys have been watching, Destin and I really got into it on Twitter.
Loving you both. It's been so I'm like, no, stop arguing. I don't understand what you're saying, but stop.
He's just wrong. It's okay. It's okay. You know what? He's entitled to his wrong opinion.
Well, you go in there and you prove how wrong it is, all right? That's what you got to do. That's it. You go in and you represent Kind of Funny Games.
Fran
you represent
thankfully
What's Good Games.
Came to my side.
He just popped in.
Came to my aid. And they really hashed it out in last week's episode if you guys missed it. If you're fans of Destiny and you aren't listening to Fireteam Chat, I do highly recommend that show. But yeah, we're gonna duke it out. We're gonna talk about stuff.
Dan wrote into kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, this isn't timely for you, but I just beat Spider-Man and watched the Brian Intihar spoiler cast. He did a spoiler cast tour similar to Cory Barlog's for God of War. I know both Sony Santa Monica and Insomniac are based in California, so that makes press tours easier for them. And maybe I've missed stuff like this in the past. But are spoiler casts becoming a growing trend? I've heard talk on this show about the secrecy of game development, but is that starting to change? Are devs seeing the benefits of being more open about how things come to be in games? M-I-Z to Greg, Z-O-U to Dan. Spoiler casts have been going for a while. I did my fair share at IGN and Podcast Beyond and a whole bunch of stuff like that. And I think it might just be that more people are paying attention to them because more people are looking for that kind of content because these games, Spider-Man and God of War as examples, are doing such an interesting thing with story and giving you really cool reveals that maybe you didn't see coming and giving you a really engaging story maybe you didn't expect at that level. That was, I think, for God of War, I didn't expect, before I played it for the first time, I don't know if I was expecting it to be, holy shit, this is my game of the year. Like, I can't believe how good this is. And Spider-Man, even the changes that they make to the lore or the chances they take, I think you finish that, and this is always my thing at IGN when we do them, it would be like, you finish that game and you want to talk to people about it. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that's where spoiler casts get inserted and matter.
Yeah, I think that, everything you said is absolutely correct. But I also think that, people are more connected in digital spaces now than they ever have been. And so it's easier to do something like a spoiler cast than maybe it was before because more people have access to it.
True.
And I'm glad that there are studios that allow their leadership to go out and speak freely. Yeah. And to be able to talk about things. And I mean, that's the whole idea of a spoiler cast is that, we're taking down the walls and letting you know, like, hey, if you're going to come in and watch this piece of content, like, you better be ready for everything to be spoiled for you. And I think that's generally when we are working with, PR or marketing on a video game, they're always so afraid of spoilers because they want to make sure that the community gets to experience the game as the development team intended it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if we get advanced access to games, that gets, more and more difficult. We made a joke about it at the top of the show about how the streaming embargo for Assassin's Creed is tomorrow. And it's like, how do you prevent spoilers from happening accidentally?
Especially as I'm playing the game with you. I don't know what this quest is going to lead to or what conversation or if they're going to make a reference to something I did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I like the idea of spoiler casts, and I think studios are getting behind it because the expectation is set, okay, if you're going to come into this piece of content, you know what's going to happen.
And I think the secrecy of game development is very much front-loaded. Where it is that, Brian and Corey will come in and tell you a story, like, Corey's story about how, like, when Shu played God of War and put it down, it was like, it's horrendous. Or that's what got communicated. It was horrendous or whatever. That's not something you can tell in the preview tour because that's the headline is that this game you don't know it, you haven't played audience is horrendous according to Shuhei.
Right.
After the fact, when you know it's great, that's a funny story to tell. To talk about how a twist or how a character evolved is something you can only do after everybody's played it.
Right. Well, and it's easier when you have a game that comes out to like 9s and 10s for review scores.
Sure.
So say, sure, we'll send the studio head over to do a spoiler cast. Yeah. We're confident this game is going to do well. Now look at Spider-Man. It's the fastest selling first party PlayStation game of all time.
Yeah. Go get him.
Congratulations, Insomniac.
Real quick, this is from Nick Vargo in Cleveland. Thank you for telling me. Everybody's starting to steal telling me where they're from. Kindoffunny.com/KFGD. Yesterday, Greg said that he was open to hear the other side of the union conversation. We were talking about, obviously, I brought up the fact that people were calling this Telltale thing is a great example of why they should unionize. I brought up when Jason Schreier was on earlier at GDC, and he presented his union thing, and I didn't really have a counter argument because I've never existed in a professional capacity in a place where there is a union or there isn't a union and there's a thing. So I'm very open to hearing everything. Nick wrote in and said, it's a very complex issue. It depends entirely on how much the unions fight for. To be brief, I will only state the con that I think most affects the industry. Unions can increase costs of manpower, whether it is wages, benefits, or cause processes to take longer. When costs are increased in a company, the company will have to compensate to maintain profitability. This can lead to reduced job openings, the company moving, outsourcing, or maybe closing entirely. Unions and employers must work together to find a balance. Nick.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you pay people more, that costs the company more, that bottom line has to be balanced somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And there was another person who didn't make the cut on here that wrote in with the same exact thing of like, there's a lot of good unions can do. There's some bad stuff they can do. And it was the same thing of cost and stuff. And it's the jokes we always make of like, when you talk to anybody who runs a booth like at PAX or E3 or a show that has like Teamsters where it's like, well, there's all these weird requirements where if they see you moving something, they can fine you thousands of dollars. And it's like
Hollywood in particular, the unions have the weirdest, most obscure rules. Yeah. Well, because they do that to protect the individual positions of each person. Because if you say, well, this person over here can do the role of this person, then that role can be eliminated. And then the unions that like, no, we have to protect that role. Yeah. It gets hairy sometimes.
That's why they got best boys.
Well, that's why non-union productions have risen so prominently since the writer's strike back in 2008.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
No rules.
Andrea. It's time to squad up.
Let's do it.
This is where one of you writes into kindoffunny.com/KFGD. Give me your name, username, platform of choice, and why you need help in a video game. Today, the Portland Kevin says he needs help in Rise of the Tomb Raider on PS4. His PSN name is ToasterBunny, spelled just like it sounds. Still need help with one more co-op trophy. I'm usually online all day, Thursday and Friday. Time zone is U.S. Pacific time. If you want to jump into Rise of the Tomb Raider with ToasterBunny and help him with the co-op trophies, hit him up. ToasterBunny, PSN. Andrea.
Yes, Greg.
On top of that, we hit a milestone. It's a new segment, again, from Kenny Ballou. This is episode 300 of Kind of Funny Games Daily.
We didn't have a cake or anything.
Today, Tuesday, September 25th. This is Kenny. Today, Tuesday, September 25th is the 300th KFGD show. Congratulations on surpassing yet another milestone. But more importantly, thank you and the entire KF team for providing quality and entertaining podcasts for well over a year. As I did for episodes 100 and 200, I wanted to write in with some statistics and fun facts that you will hopefully find informative and entertaining. I greatly edited these, Kenny, because you gave so many fun facts that we would have been here another hour. So feel free, please, to post them over on the subreddit. There have been a total of 44 co-hosts, 21 of which have hosted for the first time since the 200th episode. For regulars, the top 3 rankings that I truncated are Greg with 227 shows, Tim with 111 shows, Andrea with 96 shows. For guests, number 1, we have a tie for number 1. It's Anthony Gallegos and Chastity from GameSpot with 3 shows. I like how you know that I avoid it to not say it. Like Gabe Graziani when at PAX, and I'm like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do it.
It's Vincencio. That's what it is.
Both Anthony and Chastity have 3 shows apiece. Then there's a 5-way tie for 2 with Anthony Carboni, Christian Phillips, Kat Bailey, Snowbike Mike, and Cheeks Jr. each having 2 shows apiece. 29 other guests have hosted once. Then in terms of the, I guess, regulars pairing, Greg and Andrea have co-hosted a whopping 74 times. Greg and Tim 63 times. Greg and Gary 23 times. I'm surprised Jared hasn't moved up on that list faster. I feel like I host with Jared a lot, but Jared just does the show with other people a lot too. I digress.
He's a very helpful host.
Some fun stats. There have been only 32 days of shows missed since the show began on June 19th, 2017. Greg's longest streak of consecutive shows hosted in a row is 25 days.
It's a lot of days.
Although E3 fell in the middle of that stretch, but I'm counting it. Thank you very much, Kenny. On May 17th, 2018, Jared and Chastity decided to break the handshake streak and end the show with a dance, a decision they repeated on August 16th, 2018, when the show ended with a dance again. Greg has called Andrew Goldfarb 4 times total to ask him to translate Pokemon stories. June 18th, June 26th, July 17th, and July 25th. And then Greg has worn t-shirts on the show 4 times. March 29th, June 6th, July 11th, and July 17th. Not too shabby.
Thanks for those. That's fun.
I love those, Kenny. And like I said, there's a lot more. Please post them on the Reddit.
We need to make a calendar countdown to episode 400. So we can actually celebrate proper. Because I feel like we should have had some confetti and a cake. And
you're always here for the celebrations.
I mean, yeah, who doesn't like to celebrate?
You bring the I didn't mean it in that way. You brought Egg McMuffins to the morning show today. That's good enough. Andrea.
Yes, Greg.
We ask everybody watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames to go to kindafunny.com/you're-wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screwed up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and listening on podcast services around the globe. I don't know why someone is constantly honking their horn outside, but that's here, not there. Andrea.
Sounds like a car alarm,
What
Greg.
did we screw up today? But it's like a very lackadaisical car alarm. It's like,
I hope it's not my car. eathdemon writes in to say Capcom had to pay employees. Canada had to pay Canadian. Capcom had to pay employees. Canada by law requires 30-day pay if being shut down. So that's not a complete sentence, eathdemon. If you're gonna write in, and he wrote it in twice.
Damn. Andrea laying him out today.
And then there was a follow-up to that says, from Capitalist Pig, read the Capcom closure. The studio shutdown affects 158 employees who will receive severance packages. A skeleton crew is expected to stay on board until January. And then he links the gamesindustry.biz article that details that closure.
Thank you.
So yes, they did get severance packages. Kebab says, in the EULA for The Walking Dead, the final season on Steam, it addresses the possibility of not getting all episodes. Quote, TTG, Telltale Games, will publicly announce the release dates of episodes, which may be subject to change, but makes no representation or warranty as to when the episodes of the game will be released.
Okay.
That's shitty, for the record. I guess this is why you're supposed to read EULAs.
Yep.
Mike says, I live in Vancouver and work in the games industry here. I know a bunch of folks who worked at Capcom Vancouver. I'm not 100% on how the layoffs went, but I do know that it wasn't a clusterfuck like this Telltale situation is. Most folks, from what I've been told, had some sort of idea the layoffs and the studio closure were a possibility after Capcom's new IP they were working on was canceled. I've also been through somewhat of a similar situation when I was a contractor. It really sucks, especially when you have no idea why. Keep it classy, Andrea. I like your shirt today. Thanks. I got this in Tokyo.
I meant to say it is a nice shirt.
I got 4 of these tie shirts in Tokyo. It's all a rage there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
People love Colonel Sanders.
Apparently. The thing I noticed was that all of the women's style in Japan right now is all high necklines.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I kind of felt indecent walking around in a tank top, but it was 90% humidity. I had to do it. It's hot.
Were they wearing the high neck tops at the robot restaurant?
No.
Yeah.
They were wearing sequins. So many sequins. It was amazing. Error Can't Be Shown says Hidden Agenda is the PlayLink game that you were thinking of.
It was the PlayLink game we were thinking of. Thank you.
And then Kebab says the PlayLink game Greg was thinking of is That's You. Yes, the exclamation point is in the title.
No, I said That's You. I was very much thinking of Hidden Agenda. Kebabs, go to hell.
Kebab sent in some editorializing about Andromeda, which I'm not going to read.
What a surprise.
This is also doesn't make sense. Kebabs.
Stop drinking while you watch the show, Kebabs.
Lucar Wolf says, Greg, with the topic of the week, I can't believe you missed mentioning today's release of The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 2, Suffer the Children on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch.
Good point. Yeah, we mentioned it in passing in the news stories, but it didn't make it into the thing. Episode 2 out now. Possibly the final episode.
I don't know what Dane Bird is writing in about. Some kind of game that he wants you to play on party mode.
Okay. Not really the forum.
No,
You're wrong. Not really the forum for that.
Kindoffunny.com/KFGD.
I would say that's a tweet, honestly, but.
Oh, a deal of the day that we missed. Rocket Guardian says, just want to let everyone know that Hollow Knight is now available on both Xbox One and PS4 and is currently on sale. Please pick it up. It is a gem, and Team Cherry deserves all the support in the world. Zaire says, just an update on Nintendo Switch Online Cloud. Your cloud saves last for 6 months without a subscription. I know that was a big...
Oh, so if I cancel my subscription...
kind of like hullabaloo when people found out that if your subscription lapses, your cloud saves also go by. But now apparently there's a 6-month grace period for you to get your subscription back in line.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that would be a hullabaloo. Well, yeah, like I guess,
but because they didn't announce that it would be your saves would be safe for 6 months. I think the assumption was if let's say you had a credit card get canceled or whatever, or you had like a fraud alert, and like they pinged your credit
something
card,
goes wrong. Gotcha.
Then your cloud saves just mysteriously disappeared. Like that would be really horrific.
That would be shitty. Yeah. Okay.
So glad to hear that that's not what the policy is. You have 6 months to get your subscription back up and running, or to move your save files. Let's see here. Yep. Another thing about the cloud saves. Zaire says Divinity Original Sin 2 is coming to Switch, but I don't know what that's supposed to be in relationship to. I think we already announced that.
Oh, okay.
Was that a new date?
I don't know. I don't remember hearing that.
I don't know what this alcohol tweet is about Kebabs. Kebabs, are you drunk right now?
I remember I was saying don't drink during the show. Apparently he's not, or he is, I don't know.
Apparently he's never had a drop of alcohol in his life aside from a sip of beer.
Well then, there's no excuses for why you're so bad at You're Wrong lately.
Maybe he's just like really high on NyQuil.
Maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every week down a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show. kindoffunny.com/KFGD. Watch it live, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Watch it later, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Listen on podcast services around the globe. If you think we're doing a good job, kick us a couple bucks on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. It makes the lights turn on. Tomorrow it'll be me and Gary Whitta. Andrea, anything to promote for what's good before you go away, since you're not here on Friday because you got to go whip Destin Legary's ass.
I know, and Greg, you know what I'm realizing is that because I'm not here on Friday, I'm not going to be here for 3 weeks.
Holy crap, really?
Because I'm going out of the country. Wow. And I'm not back until October 11th. Wow. So I could come back that Friday the 12th and be completely jet lagged but ready to go.
Okay, is that the plan?
I don't know if we've worked the schedule out that far.
I don't know either.
But yes, please do check out what'sgoodgames.com if you guys have never listened to the show. We have our awesome happy hour Q&A happening on Thursday the 27th. You can find out more details about that at patreon.com/what'sgoodgames. Greg, I missed this.
I missed it too. I'm glad it's not happening again for another month.
I know, I'm sorry.
Lame. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.